we offer Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas present physically, present virtually. We hope everybody is well. Despite difficult times many are facing right now. And we're fortunate we can take refuge of these teachings, this higher plane of substance. Such troubling circumstances, they will awaken feeling of greater need to take shelter. And these things become more significant, more meaningful to us in circumstances such as these. Okay, so we are continuing with Affectionate Guidance. We have reached chapter 15. The Appearance of Sri Gaurasundar. And as I think I mentioned, this book, Affectionate Guidance, it's been prepared. It's a compilation of old articles, like scattered articles of our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj. So there's like quite a variety of different discussions which are included here. And this particular chapter I'm mentioning this now because this particular chapter especially stands out as a little different from the rest because it's actually been translated from a Bengali talk or a Bengali article. I think it was a Bengali article that Gurudev wrote. So the tone here, it doesn't sound like Gurudev, because, like the Gurudev that we've heard speaking in English, because it's not that. This has been translated from an article of Gurudev. So it's like more of a formal presentation and different tone. I remember the first time I read this, I was like, what happened? There's like this major shift. And then I figured out that it was, had that formal background. And it's not exactly Gurudev's language because it's a translation. Okay, so chapter 15, the appearance of Sri Gaurasundar. Within the sacred land of India, the holy footprints of the Lord and his devotees are a place of pilgrimage for the whole world. The 7 auspicious places in India that are said to award liberation are all found within those footprints. Among those holy places is Sri Mayapur, which is situated in Sri Gnawa Deep Dham. It is non-different from Mathura Mandal. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has written, there is no other village in the world like Sri Gnawa Deep, where Lord Chaitanya Gosai has descended. Truly, Sri Gnawa Deep Dham is the best of all, and there is no other place like it, since the most magnanimous, mercy personified Sri Gaura Hari appeared in this part of the world. He indiscriminately distributed to all persons, whether they were qualified or unqualified, the highest perfection of love of God, which is difficult for even the demigods to obtain. He has so generously distributed this highest gift, even to the most fallen. Therefore, Sri Gnawa Deep is incomparable in the world. Nearly 500 years ago, Sri Gnawa Deep city was renowned throughout the world as the center of learning and knowledge. The science of logic, which was brought from Mithila, was cultured by the intelligentsia of Sri Gnawa Deep, and its fame was spread all over the world. From Benares to northern India, and from many other places, sannyasis and the class of professors who were well read in Nyaya and Vedanta all came to Gnawa Deep for learning. From Kanchi and southern India, and other places too, many students desirous of becoming well educated all came to Sri Gnawa Deep. Persons from different places all go to Gnawa Deep, for one who studies in Gnawa Deep gets the taste for knowledge. No wonder there were hundreds of thousands of students and professors there. This is a quote from Chaitanya Bhagavat. Truly speaking, even a boy can argue with a Bhattacharya, if he studied at Gnawa Deep. Everyone considered himself a great scholar if he studied there, and there was no chance of getting recognition from the scholarly community if one did not study or teach in Sri Gnawa Deep. And we see this in the case of Keshav Kashmiri, right? That the Digvijaya Pundit, that story is told in Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Charitamrita also. This great, all-conquering Pandit, he came he was already very well known as a great scholar. He'd conquered so many, and then he came to Gnawa Deep, to really consolidate his position as this great, widely renowned and all-defeating, all-conquering scholar. But then Mahaprabhu mercifully broke his pride. But Gnawa Deep was the place to go. If you really want to be known, you really want to be accepted as a great scholar. Nowadays, if people want to be big in the movie industry, then they'll go to Los Angeles. There's places you go which are hot spots for a particular area. And so Gnawa Deep, was a center of scholarship and learning. Gnawa Deep was noted for its opulence, which, by the grace of Sri Lakshmi Devi, was shared by all the people there. On one bank of the Ganges, the greatest place of all learning, the most sacred Sri Mayapur was situated. Many wealthy persons from different parts of the world all came to settle there. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur writes, "Who can describe the opulence of Sri Gnawa Deep? Thousands of people go to take bath there because Lakshmi Devi glances over that place. Everyone lives there in great happiness. The Lord, knowing he would appear there, had arranged everything very nicely for his descent. The whole atmosphere was surcharged with auspiciousness, with many wealthy and learned persons coming from distant places to reside in that holy place of pilgrimage and seat of learning. There is no need in mentioning the glories associated with such a place. But the pain within the hearts of the pure devotees knew no bounds. In the midst of all this grandeur and beauty, they could see that everyone was simply wasting their valuable time in pursuing materialistic objectives. Seeing this, how could they be happy? Everyone was simply mad for wealth, mad for physical beauty, mad for acquiring followers, mad for knowledge, and intoxicated with the empiric speculations of materialistic science. Their mad attempt for profit, adoration, and distinction looked like a frenzied dance. And in the midst of such things, the devotees were perplexed. How to save them? And, we can add, what we see going on nowadays is not very different from what Gurudev is describing here. This is a very, accurate description of worldly society today. Their mad attempt for profit, adoration, and distinction looked like a frenzied dance. And in the midst of such things, the devotees were perplexed. How to save them? Running madly after the flickering happiness of this world, the conditioned souls judge everything from the point of view of sense gratification, and uselessly waste their time with futile talks within that plane of existence. These things are all intolerable for the devotees. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur writes, the whole world is devoid of real love for Ram and Krishna. As was predicted in the scriptures for Kali Yuga, people only know about ritualistic ceremonies. They stay up the whole night singing the glories of some demigod. Some of them proudly worship Vishakha, who removes the effect of snake poison. Others set up idols and worship them with great wealth. They spend money lavishly on their sons and daughters. Like this, everyone simply wastes their time. They never care to engage in Krishna Kirtan, which is the Yuga Dharma, our only religious practice for this age. They prefer to speak ill of others rather than say good things about them. Even from those who are puffed up with their detachment and renunciation, we never hear the chanting of the holy names from their lips. Some others think that the time of bathing is the only auspicious moment for chanting the names Govinda and Pundarikaksha. Those who recite the Bhagavatam for the education of the people do not have the devotional serving mood in their tongue. Thus the Lord's energy produces the worldly illusion. This causes the devotees' unhappiness to increase without limit. Seeing the whole world devoid of Krishna Bhakti, their hearts are burning within. Some of them feel such intense pain that they want to leave their bodies. Others simply sigh and produce the name Krishna in their exhaling. Their food no longer tastes good in their mouths. When they see the activities of this material world, they become exceedingly unhappy. Paradukka Dukka. This is the expression of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. This is the nature, speaking specifically about Sanatana Goswami, but it is also describing the nature of all exalted souls. The Paradukka Dukka. That their only sadness is to see the sadness of others. They don't have their own sadness. Only thing that causes them sorrow is to see others experiencing sorrow. And what is real sorrow? It is not the suffering of this, physical body, a lack of resources of this gross physical plane. But real suffering for those who are living on a higher plane of consciousness, real suffering means a lack of Krishna consciousness, a lack of God consciousness. Lack of spiritual consciousness. That is real suffering. Ignorance, that is the most fundamental, form of suffering. And that is also the origin of all other expressions of suffering on the physical or mental plane. So to see that the Vaishnavas are seeing, people are living without any consciousness of their true wealth, of their inner wealth, of their higher prospect. This is the most tragic thing. So it is unbearable for them to see that. Gurudev saying here, some of them are experiencing physical, some of the devotees are experiencing physical pain. To that, how compassionate, are they? How compassionate are the devotees? We heard, I don't remember, maybe it was Gorkishore Das Babaji that he heard of one devotee who was living some type of brahmachari life or celibate life, and then they went to get married, and he went and locked himself in a room, fasted for 3 days. You're leaving, your path of exclusive practice to engage in sense, stimulation, pleasure of the senses. That was heartbreaking. He doesn't want to eat. That is how compassionate. Like I was mentioning the other day, how Gurudev commented on someone who left brahmachari life to get married, and Gurudev was saying, they're going to a hellish position. He's not saying that they're going to burn in hell. He's saying, compared to where I'm living, that's hell, to go live in body consciousness, So we cannot really imagine, how, it's mentioned sometimes, it's only possible for the Lord, or only possible for the great Paramahamsas to have such a degree of mercy and love in their hearts. We can't really imagine that type of magnanimity. We just pray to be the recipient of it, you know. We pray to be included, you know. We pray to have a place in the heart of such a Vaishnava, you know. That they would shed tears, you know, for us, you know, to see our lack of Krishna consciousness. You know. But that is how loving, you know, the Vaishnavas are. Sri Advaita Acharya was glorified by everyone, even among the society of non-devotees, as he was the representative of all the Vaishnavas. Sri Advaita Prabhu was residing in Mayapur, and for the welfare of the world was engaged in worshipping the Lord and preaching his glories. The miserable condition of the living entities who were all forgetful of Krishna was giving pain to his heart. He would arrange daily meetings for the devotees at which they would all express grief and profusely shed tears over the dreadful world situation. The Acharya, who was an ocean of mercy, found the miserable condition of the living entities to be unbearable, and he decided resolutely within himself that he would call the Lord to personally descend and save the situation. And you know, there's also a parallel with Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You know, this was also the mood of, 500 years later. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is facing a similar situation in society, seeing how degraded everything is becoming, seeing how misrepresented Mahaprabhu's pure line has become. And he's, again, praying, just as Advaita Acharya did, praying to the Lord, please send one of your own. I cannot do this on my own. Please, you send the right person to help the people at this time, to awaken these persons. Because, also the Lord, he likes to be called by his devotee, and he's more compelled to be compassionate upon others if his devotee is requesting him to do so. That process is, we should sing that song. That song, we would sing it every evening in Gnawa Deep during the parikrama. How does it be? Kobe Shri Chaitanya More Kori Bena Doya. It's just Bhaktivinoda Thakur is beautifully describing that process. Like, when will I go and take shelter of a Vaishnava and express my tale of woe? And then that Vaishnava will go to the Lord, and on my behalf, they will tell the Lord of my situation and request the Lord to bestow his mercy upon me. like that's the system, that's the way it works. If we can get the Vaishnava, if we can attract the mercy of the Vaishnava, then the Vaishnava will bring the Lord's attention to our situation. Otherwise, he's not necessarily so inclined. It's under the influence of his devotee that the Lord is compelled to bestow mercy upon others. And it is, when Krishna comes under the influence of Radharani, then he takes his Guru Rupa form, his form of Guru. Guru Rupa Harim Goram Radha Ruchi Ruchavitam Nityam Nomi Navadipe Nama Kirtana Nartanai. This beautiful verse of Srila Sridhar Maharaj where he's describing this, that the Guru Rupa form, the Guru form of Hari is Krishna, is embraced by the heart and halo of Radharani, and he's eternally dancing and chanting in Navadvip Dham. So it is always with the connection of his devotee that the Lord is, compelled to express magnanimity and distribution, free merciful distribution. I will meet Vaikuntanath and bring him here. Dancing and singing, I will deliver all living entities. The glories of Advaita Acharya were not unknown to the devotees. All were pleased by hearing the promise of Advaita Acharya, and they all engaged in his service, having full faith in him. With this promise fixed in his mind, Sri Advaita Acharya meditated on offering Ganges water and tulasi leaves to the Lord, constantly calling to Goloka Bihari again and again. The Lord's throne was shaking. Srila Maharaj comments in one place, how much voltage is in the Krishna Nam vibrated by Srimati Radharani. How much voltage is in what we are chanting, Like, what is the voltage in Advaita Acharya's call that the Lord's throne is shaking? This is the power in his call to the Lord. The Lord's throne was shaking. The devotees who were also engaged in calling the Lord abstained from all comforts and material enjoyment. And to relieve the devotees' unhappiness, it wasn't like to relieve the general people's, suffering, but because his devotees are unhappy, then he's descending. To relieve the devotees' unhappiness, the all-merciful Lord prepared to descend to this world. Needless to say, when the Lord descends, he comes with all his paraphernalia and associates. Therefore, before the Lord's descent, the all-auspicious Nityananda Prabhu, who appeared in Varadesh, came first to make all the necessary preparations to receive the Lord. And this is always the mood of, Nityananda Ram. Baladeva, Vishakha Chakravarti Thakur, he gives that explanation how, before Krishna appears in the womb of Devaki, first Baladeva appears. He appears temporarily, like to set things right in Devaki's womb. So it's like a comfortable, there's a comfortable simhasan, like a seating place for him. And then Yogamaya transfers him to the womb of Rohini. So he's like born, from Rohini, but first he appears in Devaki's womb. And according to the material perspective, Devaki has a miscarriage, but actually, he's transferred, to a different womb, But Vishwanath, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he makes that comment, to that extent, Baladev is always preparing things, taking care of things for Krishna. He likes to appear first, make sure everything's set up right for him, And it's also an expression of his love that he likes to be the older brother, because the older brother is in a better position to ensure Krishna's, full enjoyment, because in the older position he can tell Krishna what to do, because Krishna may not, always do things that will be the most pleasurable for him. But if Baladev tells him, you have to do it like this, then Krishna has to accept. Like in Ram Leela, he appears as the younger brother, and he doesn't like that because, Ramachandra is going on this 14-year exile, and Ramachandra's doing that out of feeling of duty. And Lakshman's the younger brother, so he has to go along with it, But if he was in the older position, he wouldn't have any of that. There's no way I'm going to let you go on a 14-year exile in the forest. No way. He just wouldn't accept it. And he mentions, how he doesn't like that role. He doesn't like being the younger brother. So also Nityananda Prabhu, he's appearing before Mahaprabhu to be part of the preparation committee, to receive Mahaprabhu, prepare the ground. Sri Mayapur is the center of Navadvip Dham and is called Antardvip. Sri Jagannath Mishra lived at this place, Antardvip. He was a vastly learned and generous person and the resort of the purest souls. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has written, Navadvip is the place of residence of Jagannath Mishra. He was as devoted to his religious duties as Vasudeva himself. His magnanimous character was as unlimited as Brahman. No one could compare with him. Formerly he was Kashyap, Dasharath, Vasudeva, and Nanda Maharaj, and now as Jagannath Mishra was the combination of all of them. His wife, named Shachi Devi, was completely devoted to her husband. She was the emblem of Krishna Bhakti and the mother of the whole world. This very pure, divine couple tragically lost 8 daughters. But after that, they begot a son named Vishwarup, who had uncommonly beautiful features. They always worshipped the Lord in great transcendental ecstasy. Day by day, Vishwarup, who always satisfied his mother and father, grew like the bright half of the waxing moon. Gradually, this dark world got the strength of the auspicious planets. In 1406 Shakabda, there was a special day because Sri Jagannath Mishra saw a brilliant transcendental ray make its way into his heart. And again from his heart it entered into the heart of Sri Shachi Devi. Feeling thrilled, Mishra was overwhelmed with joy, and from that day Shachi Devi became transformed into a wonderful embodiment of that transcendental ray. Mishra told Shachi Devi all these things he had observed, and when Shachi Devi confirmed that she had also experienced the same things, it only caused Mishra Dev to increase his wonder. I see in the sky as if many heavenly beings are making hymns in praise of me. The whole atmosphere has become delightful with many enlightened persons coming and going from this place. Noticing all these things, Mishra said with joy, following these things, I can understand that a great personality will be born. With great attention, this divine couple was always performing Vishnu worship. On 1407 Shakabda, Falgun, full moon day, so this is March. At evening time, the Lord Shri Gaur Chandra was born. On this pleasant spring evening, the day of the full moon, there was also a lunar eclipse. The banks of the Ganges and the roads of the city leading to the Ganges were all filled with throngs of people, a very thick crowd, and all were struggling along the way. Seeing this great crowd of people, one felt as if the whole universe had come here, leaving the rest of the 14 worlds vacant. Everyone was filled with ecstatic bliss. The sound of Hari filled up and resounded throughout the 14 worlds. It was as if all the auspicious signs of the universe were rising at the same time. The splendor of Navadvip was so brilliant. An unprecedented vibration of the name of Hari resounded from the many devotees gathered on the bank of the Ganges. The flood of Harinam made all inauspicious signs disappear on this occasion of the lunar eclipse, and instead brought boundless joy to everyone. As they stood on the banks of the Ganges, everyone was thinking, where did so many people come from? Previously, there were so many eclipses, but so many persons and such a great vibration of the sound of Hari. We have never seen or heard anything like this before, and we are all overwhelmed with joy. They were all filled with intense happiness, but they could not understand the cause. This was going on, and all without exception were feeling very good. Even fallen persons were laughing in the company of the Hindus, relishing the chanting of Hari, Hari. There was pleasure in all 10 directions, and even the river water was feeling pleased. This is so wonderful, the way that Mahaprabhu chose to appear, and it actually illustrates in a really very nice way how, like through Krishna Consciousness, which represents the Nirgun plane, the transcendental plane beyond any current of this world, through the touch of that Nirgun plane, then whatever is ordinarily considered good or bad, auspicious or inauspicious, is all becomes irrelevant. Because normally an eclipse is considered very inauspicious, in the Vedic culture. It's considered to be a time when as I've heard Srila Sridhar Maharaj explain, a time when the planets, they come in such a way that there's a risk of collision and universal devastation or something like that, So that's why the Hindus, they'll tend to congregate at a holy place, especially holy river, and to take the name of the Lord at that time, because there is some risk that some great danger will befall us, then we will engage ourselves deeply in remembrance of the Lord, and so if we all die, then we'll be taken care of, So that's like the general idea. But you see, from Mahaprabhu's angle of vision, this is a time when everybody's chanting the name of Krishna. Then that's a very auspicious time, That's a very nice time, So he chooses to appear in that mode. Like in a moment that's normally considered inauspicious, it becomes extremely auspicious, because through the chanting of the holy names, and then the Lord choosing to appear at that time, Krishna consciousness, it is beyond the normal current, of the worldly plane. That is pertaining to a deeper current, fundamental current, and when that arises, that overrides any current of this plane, whether it is supposedly positive or negative. It is all overruled. It's there's not much longer, so we can finish it. It was a very favorable evening indeed. Lion Rashi, Lion Lagna, highly placed planets, the 6 planets, the 8 signs, all auspicious signs were visible. Everyone was well dressed and decorated for the Lord's appearance and singing songs. At that time, the life of the whole world, Lord Sri Shachinandan, appeared. In Sri Jagannath Mishra's house, there was no limit to the joyful atmosphere found in Sri Shachi Devi's room. The whole world was inundated by the flood of Harinam as the spotless full moon appeared today. And that is why the moon in the sky covered his face out of shyness in the lunar eclipse. So this is there's these beautiful verses we sing on Gaur Purnima Day in Chaitanya Charitamrita that are describing Mahaprabhu's appearance. And there's this beautiful line. And maybe Gurudev, because this is a translation, so we're losing really the real sense of what Gurudev's saying. But there's this beautiful line in that song, saying, what was the moon considering, what was the need? It says, what was the need for a pockmarked moon to be present in the sky when the spotless golden moon of Gaur Hari was appearing in the world? So then out of shyness, the moon is hiding. Who am I in front of this beautiful, I'm this pockmarked, moon, and there's this beautiful golden moon, Gaura Chandra, the golden moon, then what am I doing here? Very beautiful devotional vision. And that is why the moon in the sky covered his face out of shyness in the lunar eclipse. Why shouldn't he cover his face? The moons on the Lord's toenails give such a brilliant, merciful light that they outshine millions of moons. And it is that same Gaura Chandra who appeared today. Everywhere, on all sides, flowers were raining from the sky. The sounds of millions of conch shells, beating drums, and dancing of divine personalities all began at that time. The whole earth resounded with Jai, Jai, and the entire universe became liberated. The news of the appearance of Gaurahari was thus announced. The devotees directly felt within themselves full satisfaction. The sweet sounds of the conch, bells, mridanga, and kartals became sweeter still when mixed with the chorus of Jai Shachinandan, Jai Gaurahari. Everything connected with Gaurahari is eternal. His name, form, qualities, pastimes, associates, paraphernalia, etc. are all eternal. His appearance is eternal. For those fortunate persons who are pure in heart, the eternal Lord resides in their hearts always. For those fortunate persons who are pure in heart, the eternal Lord resides in their hearts always. These things cannot be understood by our tiny brains. So the Lord is a Chincha Beda Bed, appearing in the form of a Charja Dev, as the highest conclusion of this principle. Only by the grace of Sadhu and Guru are we able to know the glory of Sri Chaitanya Dev, who is the eternally pure, fully liberated, ultimate reality. At that time, those fortunate persons who have received the mercy of the sadhus can understand that Gaurachandra appears as Sri Krishna in the mood of Radharani. They feel great ecstasy within their hearts and they are able to understand. Today also Gaurarai was performing his pastimes, and only a few fortunate persons were able to see. Adya piha se lila kore Gaurarai kon bhagyavan deki parapai. Chaitanya Bhagavat. Anarpita chidim chirat korunaya vatirna kalo samarpayitam unutojvala rasam sabhakti shriyam. Adi purata sundara duti kadamba sandipita sada hirdaya kandare spuratu vashachi nandana. May that Lord who is known as the son of Shrimachi Shachi Devi be transcendentally situated in the innermost chambers of your heart. Resplendent with the radiance of molten gold, he has appeared in the age of Kali, by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation ever offered before, the most sublime, radiant, spiritual conception of the mellow taste of his service. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Deva Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. So that is the conclusion of that chapter. Okay, we'll stop there for today. Have our arati.